A used car. This is what my son and I saw on a car lot. We thought it was a really, really good deal. And it does have a few things going for it. Not to mention it's good looking. It's got your normal scuffs, but hey, I'm a paint guy. I love paint. I love all kinds of paint. And this puppy's got a brand new rebuilt transmission down in there. So it does have some things going for him, because if the Nissan Rogue had any flaw, it was that. But it was the slimy thing that this car dealer did to my son. I already assumed it needed the CV axles. That's what all this is. And it needs an oil pan. That's another one of the Nissan flaws, is the trans pan and the Earl pan. This is the Earl pan. And it's been epoxy coated. I did that. It was shiny. And it's actually a factory pan that I got really cheap. And I got that on eBay for like 25, 30 bucks, which I thought was a real deal, because Advanced went at $53, and then they had another model for $43. But it's what happened in between. I'm assuming when the transmission went out, this was pulled up from somewhere onto a rollback wrecker. And what my assumption is, they were driving it with low tires because of these sensors. They leak, because you can see that one's brand new. That was just recently put in, not that long ago. And the other thing that happened is the tires. You see, when I went to look at this car from Dan Trinkle's Auto Mall there in Northampton, by the Copper Penny, it had a totally different set of like brand new Continental tires. And magically, there's one of those Continentals is surviving on this rim, which I think this was remounted, but you see, something bit this car. That's also chafed. Okay, not as bad as the front. So this car, I'm assuming, was pulled up and over something from wherever it was sitting. Probably with the transmission being bad, it couldn't get up and over, or out of wherever it was at. So it got a different set of tires and wheels, and the original ones got put back on. And then you see this. I don't know if my camera's picking that up, but this is all dry rotted. Okay? Now, it's got to take a real scumbag to sell, a 20-some-year-old working kid, okay, a car like this. Oh, and it gets even better. This story gets even better and thicker. You see that? That is the HX Plus, and I'm assuming from what I've been told, which I have not researched yet, that is a Viper product. So this does have a remote start, and it probably has what they call a jolt alarm on it, and a tilt. They have a tilt alarm, because when I drove this up on the ramp, something under the hood here was deedling, and I have not a clue what it is yet. So I have to look into the system. But in the meantime, I see the rims are hammered. I'm not a fan of hammered stuff. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to put you on the tripod then for a minute while I get my camera. I got these wheels and tires out at Harry's, and I did not want the tires, because if you check the depth gauge, they're shot. They charged me $181 for 2 pieces of rubber I didn't want. I said, I'm a disabled veteran. I don't want to dismount them. You dismount them. And I'll tell you why you say that. If you come across strange tires and wheels, oh, and let me not mention this, that the spare tire is a 16, not a 17. So the spare tire is useless. And that was something I didn't check. But it is, again, it's a used car. But you don't go switching wheels and tires out on a vehicle and screwing, a working kid. Because it was my mom that gave my son a ride to go pick that up. And, he's tired working 16-hour days. He's none the wiser. All he knows is, Dad said, I looked at the car. It was up on a lift. That's how these parts got here. I'm going to put new rotors on the front, because the rotors are basically, they got grease all over them. Number one, from the CV axles. They didn't put new, when they put that transmission in, they should have put new CV axles in. But let me get to the point here, okay? This slimy car dealer, I caught him. And I called him, okay? And all of a sudden he's avoiding my phone calls. And as it's snowing. You know, it went from 70 degrees the other day. We're down in the 40s, the low 40s right now. It's supposed to warm back up. I called this turd, and I told him, look, I got to come down there and punch you in the fucking mouth. Here's the state police phone number. You want to call them, okay? My son works hard, okay? And this is the thing, the car dealers, they take advantage of you when you work hard, and they do shit like that. So now there's another remote to that car, which I'm probably going to have to get, because if I don't, it's, like I said, that has that jilt and jolt on it. For what I've been told is if that car is mishandled, that other secondary system actually serves as like an alarm system to shut the car off, which I don't see why that should be attached to a remote system. But I'm told some of the systems had it, being the HP or the HX Plus, that should have it. So I don't see why a car should have something like that, but, you know, or a remote start, I should say, in a car. So now, we're going through all this expense. We already bought $500 worth of parts for that car. Then I go to Harry's, and they charge me $200 for 2 fucking rims and 2 bald tires. Okay, I did call Harry's on it. I'm supposed to get back in touch with a Tony down in the Allentown. I called him on it, and I said, look, this is bullshit. You don't have anybody there. I don't want the rubber. Pull it off. That's not my job. You're selling this stuff. I don't want it. I only want the wheels. That's all I expect to buy. But that's how slimy Harry's is. So I'm getting hammered in the ass both ways by these people. And it's not fair when your son works and he works hard. I have a lot of respect for my son. Both of them. Both my kids, my boys, all of them, my girls, they work. All they do is like me. They learned it from me. Because I'm out here, I could be in there sitting on my big fat rump, relaxing or whatever. You know, I just had to fix my Super Sport. That's another story. I was going down a lake road. I took a friend of mine out. Right at the end of the season, his lawn tractor took a poop. He calls me up, hey, Dutch, do you got a carburetor? I said, yeah, sure. For that, I said, I probably have a couple of them. And I went down to my little inventory, my little stash box, and there they are. I said, yeah, I'll be out on Saturday. So I'm coming back home. I'm out along the lake road, and I see legs. Then I see the buckskin belly. And then I see what looks like 2 fucking basketballs in a buckskin sack or Oprah Winfrey's ass cheeks in spandex. And the back hooves slap my window right above the inspection sticker, shatters the window on the truck. And I'm like, oh, if I don't have enough to deal with. You know, you can't pay bills so's it is, and then a deer takes my truck out. I just can't win. I just really can't. And it's stuff like this when people aren't honest with you. You know, if Harry's was dealing with people square, they'd say, yeah, them tires are pretty shot. Oh, well, not like they're usable. I don't get their brain power. They're just greedy. That is called greed to me. And to take advantage of disabled people, let alone a veteran. You know, when I called the management down in Allentown, the Harry's there, you know, the guy says, yeah, well, thank you for your service. Well, is that how I get thanked? I get fucked in the ass, I get sold 2 bald tires, and, you know, is that how you thank a veteran? You know, and then because everybody doesn't have any help, just call an auto parts store around here, especially on the weekends. You can't get anybody on the phone. You got to physically go there, and half the time they don't have it. These stores are getting lower and lower on inventory with this world situation going on. And that's why I told you people, keep your money in your pocket this year, because we already have threat warnings out. And I told you I used to work for the State Department, well, the Department of Defense, but I do interaction with the State Department as far what they call the hiring process. I'm not going to use the terminology because it gives away the office or whatever. I don't want to get anybody in any trouble because I get information I'm not supposed to have. But anyway, I deal with the hiring and firing, trying to find out if somebody's got the acuity to perform the tasks that they're assigned for without sinking a Navy ship, which you would think that's an easy job today, finding somebody that's qualified, that's trustworthy, that's sober. Well, look at the hiring process for AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts. The hiring process Did you go to college? Do you have an advanced degree? Doink! Yep. I get a list of all these liberal breeding and mating colleges, not actual school institutions like Lehigh University and Penn State, where I went to get my degrees. They've got all these breeding and mating, that's what I call them, breeding and mating institutions. I am spitting mad at this stuff, that people would take advantage of working people and each other like that as Americans. Okay? I go to look at a car and it's got 4 brand new tires on it. It looks like a good deal. Needs a few odds and ends, and Dad's in the business. A dad can do. Now, if you take that car somewhere else to have all that work done to it, it'd probably be a $5,000 or $6,000 bill. Who knows in today's dollars? Okay, but I'm not. Since it just recently had a transmission, I'm not really even gonna have a hard time getting the CVs in and out of it. But why did they put a new transmission and put the old CV axles back in it? Okay, and the other thing with these Nissan Rogue, another booby trap. Don't buy a left axle and just leave the other old axle in, or a right axle and put another new axle in. Replace them as together. I'll tell you why. Those axles are actually from the manufacturer a certain balanced weight. And if you put a different axle, say it's a heavier steel or it's a heavier bearing on the bearing side, your car is going to feel that, and your CV transmission is going to feel that. Okay? I come across a service bulletin, I believe it was from 2011 or something, about the CV axles. When I bought parts for my mom's car and had it serviced and everything, I wanted service bulletins. I actually found that laying on a desk. It was not laying on the floor yet. It was almost there. And I picked it up, and I don't steal. As far as I'm concerned, a piece of paper is worthless, even the information on it, unless you're a specific person. And to my knowledge, since it was discarded on a basically empty place in a basically coffee room, it's basically worthless. But somebody discarded it there, and that sometimes another man's trash is another man's gold, because I never would have known anything like that, but I have the service bulletin. So do not replace those CV axles individually, replace both of them. And they sell both of them for around $150. You can get both axles. Hey, you can't lose. And especially with that advice that if one axle's heavier than the other, your transmission is going to sense that. All right? So enough of my video. Remember Dan TRINKLES Auto Mall down there in Northampton. Don't buy a bicycle there, because if you're going to do that to somebody, the car's got 17-inch wheels. I got a 16-inch spare tire. So I got about another $500 I got to spend on this car. Okay? But that's the love. That's how a father loves their son. They do those things. And meanwhile, my bills go further and further behind, and I get more and more gorillas breathing on my back. Why? All because somebody was dishonest and a scumbag. Now, I am going to contact the Consumer Protection Bureau if the state police don't help me. But you don't sell me a car with damaged tires on it when I looked at it and it didn't have that on it. And when I drove that car, it did not have a death shake at 60 miles an hour like that one does. My advice to you, it's the kind of world we're living in. And had I picked that car up, I may not have even noticed those tires myself. When you're pressed for time, you're dealing with assholes on the road, your brains are it's in another function mode. That's, like I said, that's how people get had by these used car hackers. Okay, they're just scumbags. I thought a lot of the guy because he put the car up on, in the garage on the lift for me. But it was a reason why I worked at a body shop up the line here, not too far from here. And I end up fixing up hit-and-run cars and DUI cars from up in New York. Some of them were rental cars. They don't want the rental company to know. And that's why I quit working there. Because eventually the cops are going to come looking, and I don't want to be involved in it. Hey, what do you know? Maybe I'm not going to get arrested because I'm not really the perpetrator. The owner was, but maybe I'm going to get caught up in court hearings and be under court orders to be there, and I'm not going to be doing what I want to be doing. Or, I have health issues. I don't want to lose my life because some scumbag is doing scumbag things. So watch who you work for these days. But like I said, when they're going to liberal institutions, okay, for an educational background to sell auto parts, to sell you parts for your car, how safe is that? So another day, another goddamn big shit sandwich to eat, and it's a lot for somebody my age. But hopefully the state police will help me out with what's going on with it. You don't put bad tires and dry rotted tires on a car you know, that I looked at that had 4 brand new tires, and no, there was no Armor All on those tires. What? I guess they camouflaged them. They looked all shiny, and it does. When a tire is shiny, you're not going to see a flaw as easily as if the tires are out of the cart like these are here. I mean, you could see it really. I went over the car because I noticed it did not have. I saw the Kelly. What caught my attention to know that he switched the tires out, I saw the Kelly on it. And then I looked at the wheel, and then I see the wheel is damaged. And then I see that. Somebody went over a curb at a high speed. And more than likely, like I said, maybe that's what knocked the transmission out. I'm thinking somebody jumped a curb or a parking butt or something. Okay? And also, that's a replacement windshield. That's not a Nissan windshield, Feo. That's a Chinese company that sells windshields. So the windshield was replaced, and that would explain why that's hanging down there. And it also looks like maybe something went over. I saw, you know, maybe this thing went into bushes. You know, at McDonald's, somebody floored it, or they dropped their soda. I remember a car where the girl dropped the soda and she floored the car and went up into the bushes at McDonald's, because I was right there. It happened right in front of my truck. She went across the street and right up into the bushes that were out in front of the Wawa Market or whatever it was. So there are strange things that happen, but see, even the dirt marks on those tires show up. Remember, I'm the worst cameraman that you'll ever see. Okay? But, like I said, getting screwed 9 ways to Sunday every day of the week, people get sick of it. And, you know, you guys that are commenting to me, you probably live in maybe other areas where people have a little more pride about themselves. This is Pennsylvania, and everybody's screwing their brother. I think these people would steal from their own mother's purses, especially the politicians that represent this state. You know, I went down about some of the issues I have with a neighbor not, you know, putting a roof on. It's leaking into my house. It's not right. I called the state police, and they're trying to make an excuse. And I don't know if I showed you the inspection sticker. This had different inspection stickers. This is the beauty. Pennsylvania State Inspection. He sells my son a car like that. Expired inspection and emission stickers, which the stickers that were on this car were from February. And the other one, you can't read it. It's not to this car. I took my infrared scope up against that. Okay? There's no information there to be seen. Okay? He tells my son, oh yeah, when you come get the car, it'll have a brand new inspection on it. Well, he's not selling it with the tires that he had, because he had other Nissans. They go down these auctions and the other car dealers, and they buy Nissans. So that's what people think they're buying, is a car with like new tires, you know, and that's the main thing that people look at. So, you know, just like me, for these trucks and stuff, all of them have other tires and wheels. Alright, so there's my video of a real scumbag as his Dan Trinkle's Auto Mall to do something like that to somebody. Never seen anything like it. So, have a nice day, and I know I'm not gonna. I gotta replace CV axles. It's getting dark, and I'll get to the meat and potatoes tomorrow.